How isolation gowns are failing us. When someone is sick and they talk, sneeze, or cough, millions of infectious particles are launched into the air. Respiratory droplets can travel 3 to 4 feet and will land on anything they come into contact with. That is what makes wearing an isolation gown, also known as a non-surgical gown, a vital part of a healthcare worker's personal protective equipment to prevent the spread of infections, both to the healthcare worker and their patients. The FDA regulates medical gowns and has requirements for two things. First, how much protection the material must provide as a barrier, and second, what areas of the gown must provide that protection. These areas are known as critical zones. Critical zones differ between surgical gowns and isolation gowns. Notice that the surgical gown pictured on the left has only areas in front and on the forearms that are considered critical zones. But the isolation gown on the right is almost entirely a critical zone. That is because these gowns are worn when the risk of infectious spread is high and all areas of the gown must protect the wearer. But how can the gown protect the wearer if it is not maintaining coverage of critical zone A? Isolation gowns gape forward or sag down, exposing the healthcare worker's top. Exposure means those respiratory viral particles can land on the top, making it a potential source of infectious spread. How many times a day does a healthcare worker touch their top and touch their face or a common surface, such as a computer, door handle, or phone? How many times a day does a healthcare worker's hand brush along their top while reaching for their stethoscope? How many times do they offer comfort to a coworker or patient's family member? How many times a day is the failure of the isolation gown the reason for a hospital-acquired infection? How is this allowed to happen in the United States? How can manufacturers sell isolation gowns that do not meet FDA requirements? The FDA classified isolation gowns as a Class 1 exempt medical device. This means the manufacturers are not required to provide evidence that their gowns meet FDA standards before selling them in the U.S. The solution is clear. The FDA must reclassify isolation gowns to non-exempt. This change will mandate manufacturers to demonstrate compliance with FDA standards before their gowns are available in the U.S. market. I urge you to join us in taking action by signing this petition calling upon the FDA to reclassify non-surgical isolation gowns as non-exempt. By doing so, we can ensure the quality and safety of PPE for all healthcare workers and patients. Sign the petition today, and together, we can make a difference.